You're listening to Counterclockwise, where we decide the best of unimportant categories, and occasionally we watch terrible movies. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah. It's the worst. It's the worst Stallone impression I've ever done.
You're a little high, I think. You
know.
gotta drop it down a little bit. You gotta go down here. You were doing like a
Mom,
like weird Jersey Shore guy or something.
Yeah. Oh, Mom, what are you doing here?
I realized the other day that I think this episode's coming out on Groundhog Day, which is cool.
Yeah.
We could have done one of the knockoff Groundhog Day movies. I feel like a lot of those are probably not very good.
Sure.
What was the Tom Cruise one, the action movie?
Oh, Edge of Tomorrow?
Edge of Tomorrow. That was pretty good.
I like that one a lot.
That's a good one.
It's quite literally just a video game.
Yeah, pretty much. You just respawn right at the same spot.
I felt his frustration.
Yeah.
Because I'm bad at those kind of games.
Oh, yeah.
So when he would just die immediately, that was me growing up playing those kind of games.
Take 3 steps onto the beat.
When I had friends that were like gods at Halo. And
that was terrible.
And Halo 2 or whatever, and they would always get me to play when we were all together, and I'm just the worst. I don't know how many times I was like playing, and I'm thinking I'm doing good. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong screen. The only game I'm weirdly good at is Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, I remember you being pretty good at that.
Which is like kind of the same. It's
basically
the same thing, but space lasers.
Yeah.
Space lasers and lightsabers. Like, there's no difference other than that. So I don't know why I was good at that, but not the other one.
I would just play to have fun. Like, early on, I was like, I'm going to try to be good at this game. I'm going to try to be better. Do it, like, by the book. I'm going to actually, like, try. And I was awful. And then I was just like, I'm just going to, like, fuck around. Yep. Give me the car. I'm going to drive the car around, just fuck up shit. Yep. I'm going to get killed 77 times, but it'll be fine because I rode around on this car that is, like, useless because you can't shoot anything out of it. It's not like Battlefront where you can, like, hop in one of the tanks and just operate the whole tank. Man,
I have so many good memories playing Battlefront.
Yeah, that was fun.
My goodness.
That was another one. Like, I was not very good at it, but I was like playing with you because, like, you were actually good, so I would still win just because I was on your side.
By association.
Yeah. But I'm just, like, fucking up shit. But anyway, speaking of Groundhog Day, the prognosticator of prognosticators across the table for me is my favorite brother, Brandon Wise. I'm Tyler Wise. And up next, will you stop trying to change me? Stop or my mom will shoot. Coming up in about 23 seconds.
Inconceivable. With Cheech and or Chong. Report to the front desk. Oh, hi, Mark. All the way to sleep. Goodbye.
Movie reference.
I completely forgot about that scene until I watched it a couple days ago. Because we watched it together first time like a month after I'd even heard of the movie. Mm-hmm. I don't even know how I heard of it. I think it just was listed on Stallone's IMDb or something.
I remember
what is this?
I remember you texting me about it, and you were like, supposedly Stallone like totally hates this movie and wants it scrubbed from like the database. And so we're like, well, we have to watch it now. This has got to be a fantastic movie. It's a fantastically bad movie.
Just it's a cop movie with Captain Testosterone, Sylvester Stallone, like, and Estelle Getty.
It's just
like, what?
It's just a buddy cop movie with Rambo and the Golden Girl, like the mom from Golden Girls.
The oldest, littlest, fragilest Golden Girl. What? Say that again. And but rewatching it again a couple days ago, I had completely forgotten about that dream sequence. And it's just, before that, I was thinking, wow, the tone of this movie is like all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
It's like sad one second. They're like trying to be really sentimental. And then suddenly it's like happy-go-lucky. Like we got like happy piano music playing.
Well,
and then suddenly we're jumping into like an action sequence. And that's what this one was. It was like, oh man, we're just jumping suddenly into an action sequence. And then the camera pans down and Stallone's just in a giant diaper because he's dreaming.
Well, my favorite during the movie is when you'd have all these action scenes, like serious like car chase scenes, and the music is just like weird elevator transition music.
Yeah. I pointed out the one where it's like this action sequence where Estelle Getty is driving the car and Stallone's in the passenger seat, and he's like busting in a door and like helping a girl who's like being held hostage by a bad guy. It's like a pretty heavy thing. He's like jumping off the building and chasing these guys, and she screams around the corner in the car, and she's like, get in the car, we're gonna chase him. And then suddenly it's like game show music.
Right.
It's like we're watching Match Game. What's happening? What's going on? But anyway, so that basically sums up the whole movie. But
Stallone is a really closed off individual, and
just your classic like stony cop.
His very overbearing and very sweet and lovable mom comes to visit.
Yeah, just like classic sweet but overbearing.
Yeah, and he
all
just,
up in your business.
He can't handle it when all she just wants to do is give him. You never stop being a mom. You never stop loving your son, and that's what he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
She's always trying to do something nice for him throughout the whole movie. Like the one, she was like cleaning his gun because it was greasy, but she ended up like bleaching it. And,
completely just
totally ruined the gun.
Yeah,
and then she wanted to make it up for him for that. And so she goes and tries to buy a gun at a gun shop, and there's like a grace period for like red flags.
The cool down period.
Yeah, and so she unknowingly goes to some shady ass big guy,
some dude on the street selling guns out of a van,
and you know what? She negotiates that price down to $350. She was not going above $350.
Gets this like full automatic, like what is that, like an Uzi? I don't know. She calls it something, but it's basically like an Uzi. One of those little like one-hander guns that just spits bullets.
30 rounds in 2.5 seconds, lady.
Yeah. Gets him down to $350 on that one. Oh, man. But real quick, this was released in 1992, directed by Roger Spottiswoode?
Yeah.
No idea. Probably didn't make another thing after this one. Had a budget of $45 million, and it grossed $28.4 million in the U.S., worldwide 70.6.
Sure,
so still made their money back, but not great.
Yeah.
Critical reception, as you can imagine, not great. 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. Had a 22% audience score, so slightly better, still not good. The critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes: thoroughly witless and thuddingly unfunny, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot gives its mismatched stars very little to work with, and as a result, they really don't work. Pretty much sums it up. Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs down, naturally. Siskel gave it 0 out of 4 stars.
That seems harsh. At least
really, we just watched it.
At least a half a star. I think
that's what Ebert gave it, a half a star. But Siskel said if the script had been submitted to the staff of the Golden Girls, it would be summarily dismissed as too flimsy for a half-hour sitcom. That was what we decided when we first watched it. It was like that was basically just an hour and a half sitcom episode.
It felt like it was supposed to be originally supposed to be greenlit as a sitcom.
Like the
transitions were so
been,
weird throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, the tone was so weird. It probably could have been. They probably could have done, a whole bunch of dumb episodes about that.
I think it would have had a better overall reception if they did it that way.
Probably, yeah. So Stallone's in kind of a weird spot when he makes this movie. Leading up to this, not a whole lot of like tremendous success. He was in a rough patch. So starting from 85, Rambo: First Blood Part 2, pretty good. Not a great sequel, but it's a good action movie. A lot of people love it. Rocky 4, also not a great movie, but it's a fan fave. I love it. It's awesome. Then Cobra, pretty downward turn there. That's just like not a good movie. You can only really enjoy it ironically. Over the Top, which a lot of fans love it, but also not a great movie. Then Rambo 3, we're getting worse in the Rambo movies. Lockup, which I have never heard of that movie. I don't know anything about it. Tango and Cash, kind of fun, still a bad movie. Rocky 5 is usually kind of disowned by Rocky fans. That's kind of how I am. I just watch 1 through 4 and just pretend the rest don't exist. Then Oscar, it's a remake of a 1967 French film, which I can't imagine that was any good.
Right.
12% on Rotten Tomatoes. And then 1992, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. So not in a great trajectory.
No.
And then he craps out this piece of crap.
One thing I was reading, I guess in an interview, Stallone said that Arnold Schwarzenegger was interested.
Yeah, that's a pretty
and he
famous
heard
part of this.
he said he admitted once he had heard Arnold was interested, he took he what's the word I'm looking for? He campaigned for it or whatever. He auditioned for it. There we go.
Yeah.
He auditioned for it, and
then
he basically found out later Arnold was just pranking him.
I thought the way I heard is like they were both offered the movie. Stallone turned it down initially. Then Schwarzenegger said, "This movie sucks, but I'm going to say that I'm interested." And then Stallone was like, "Oh, he's interested. Yeah, I'll take it." Yeah. So they give him the job. And Arnold later said, "Yeah, no, I was just doing that just to fuck with Stallone."
And I guess they lied. Did you see that they lied to Estelle Getty about the movie having guns? Like, she said she wasn't going to do the movie if it involved guns, so they lied to her and said there were no guns.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
To get her to sign on, yeah. So once she signed on, the contract was official, then, well, hey, sorry, you're doing guns now.
Oh, my God. Yeah, she handles so many guns in this movie.
Yeah, more than Stallone.
And they're all bigger than she is.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's a big...
She kills
That's a big switch.
She kills more people than Stallone in this movie, doesn't she?
I think she only kills one guy.
Who'd Stallone kill?
I mean, he doesn't kill anybody. He probably like disables a bunch of people, but I don't know that he actually kills them.
I don't think he does.
Yeah. I mean, technically, we didn't see the guy die at the end, so he might still be around. He only got one bullet hole in him.
That's fair.
He might have been able to plug that hole and get him back to.
It was quite a shot.
They probably wouldn't have wanted him to die anyway. They want to save his life so they can put him in jail. Anyway, here we are debating like the nuances of stop or my mom will shoot. Anyway, so you were starting on the plot. Do you want to finish the plot summary so we're all on the same page here?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, she comes to town and packs all of her cleaning supplies and like 15 cans of
an entire suitcase of pineapple chunks.
Yeah, and because they don't taste the same in California as they do in Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah, dull pineapple
Very
chunks.
thick, Jersey accent too, by the way.
Yeah.
So he goes to work and she's just off trying to like make things right with him. Buys the gun from the van, witnesses a murder.
Yep. One of the guys that sold her the gun gets killed in a drive-by shooting. Yeah. That's a sharp turn in tone, too. It's like, this happy, this like fun, look at the old lady buying a gun. And then freaking just a drive-by shooting in the middle of downtown LA. That's great.
And it was so cartoony, too. It was so funny. And also, everybody's like,
by the way,
everybody's weirdly good at drifting in this movie, too.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, the guy doing the drive-by shooting is also the lawyer guy, the shady lawyer from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
So just thinking about that guy the whole time.
She goes down to the precinct and, explains it. And meanwhile, they basically go off on their own adventure because Stallone's character isn't assigned to the case.
Yeah.
And she wants him to get credit for it, but so
she's like withholding evidence or withholding testimony, I guess, from the cop that's actually assigned the case. But he's kind of an asshole, so she doesn't like him. She wants to give the info to her son.
Yeah.
So they're like doing their own side investigation and apparently not getting in trouble for that.
Yeah, they go on.
That's definitely cool.
A million side quests, and eventually they find out where the guns are coming from, and you can kind of piece together the plot.
Yeah, but they slowly solve the crime.
Meanwhile, you got a strained relationship between mother and son, and also the lieutenant of the precinct is also dating Stallone's character, which is totally not a conflict of interest at all.
Yeah, definitely not.
And I think they were on again, off again like 4 times throughout the movie. And
yeah, you never quite know where they're at when the scene starts. Yeah. You just kind of gauge how they're reacting to each other.
And Stallone, I kind of resonate with him because, as you know, me and you are very similar in that social cues or social situations and us don't really mix very well.
Yeah.
They did it for Stallone in this movie. Not great at reading the room.
Correct.
So it's a fun movie. It had no business being as like funny and kind of good as it was, because I was expecting a total trash fire show.
Yeah, you hear that plot You see who's in it, you're like, oh, this is going to be terrible.
But when you go in expecting that and you get what you get or what we got, I mean, come on. You got to go in with very, very reasonable expectations.
And that's the thing. I feel like it ages better.
Yeah.
Because if you watched this in 1992, you would have thought it was a stinking pile of crap.
Sure.
Now we watch it and we're like, Stallone. Obviously, he can't do comedy. That's why he just never does comedy again. After, I think, Tango and Cash was probably his first run at it, I think. Yeah, so now looking back, you just laugh. You're kind of laughing at it, not with it all that much. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely entertaining. It's a fun movie. It's not good. A lot of poor choices in this one. But, overall, it probably gets a little too much hate. So we mentioned Estelle Getty, obviously, of the Golden Girls. Did some other stuff, but that's basically all she's known for. You mentioned the Lieutenant, Gwen, his on-again, off-again girlfriend. Just classic comedy cop movie girlfriend. She's just mad at him because he never shows any emotion at all. Classic.
Right.
She's mad at him for that, mad at him for kind of ignoring her, I guess, not just being a good boyfriend, I guess, basically.
But to her, in her defense, she's not exactly wrong. He doesn't communicate.
No, everything she says is exactly true.
Right.
He's a terrible boyfriend.
He's really bad at being a boyfriend. Yes.
And then, one of the big things is that he's never bought her flowers. Okay, cool. Makes sense. That becomes a plot point because Tootie is her name, mom's name. She buys a room full of flowers.
I mean, there's 25 sets in there.
And again, like you said, putting his foot in his mouth or not reading the room, he sees a bunch of flowers and immediately gets mad.
Well, we got back up because she comes in and just makes out with him in front of the whole precinct. Again, definitely not a conflict of interest at all.
Definitely not.
Right?
Definitely not.
He's all confused as to why she's so happy. And then she's like, thank you for the flowers. And you're like, what flowers? He turns around and just immediately gets pissed.
Yeah. I feel like in a normal, even in a goofy comedy, you'd be like, yeah, definitely that's what I did. And then maybe off screen get mad. No, he just immediately gets pissed off. And she's like, what's wrong? And he's like, it was my mom. Why the hell would I buy you flowers?
She got a solid right hook on him, too.
Yeah, just socks him one right in the jaw.
Oh, we should mention, he does technically have a partner that we barely... We see at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then we just
they do a pretty good job of injuring him early on so he doesn't have a partner with him in the car all the time.
Yeah.
So mom can sit in the passenger seat the whole movie.
After that, we only ever see him in the precinct office.
Yeah, he helps him he runs plates for him or runs the plates.
There's just a scene where he's eating lunch and Stallone's drinking Pepto.
Yeah,
because he's
explaining everything, all 50 food items that mom made him for breakfast that morning.
Very slowly. I love how slow he explained it all.
It's just that scene is
it's just and bacon and waffles and pancakes and hash browns. And Cocoa Puffs.
Cocoa Puffs. And then the tag on that is just that the partner just says the breakfast most important meal of the day, which is a line that Stallone was annoyed when his mom said it earlier. And he's just like, thanks, Joe. Or no, his name's Joe. What's his name? What's the partner's name? Anyway, doesn't matter. But that was the joke. That was the whole reason we needed that scene.
Lou.
It's a tough time out here. It is hard to write a script. I will say that. Usually by the time it gets to the production process, it's a little better. But, whatever. That's neither here nor there because it was already made and we like it. We already mentioned a couple things for as we get into our little segments here. We got Computer Says. We both mentioned, I guess, that Stallone hates this movie. And we mentioned the Schwarzenegger thing. I guess Stallone said, which this actually kind of makes sense. He says that Stop or My Mom Will Shoot was supposed to be like Throw Mama from the Train. It's another one. It's kind of in the same vein, it's just like a kind of a zany comedy. Mm-hmm. It's pretty dark, actually. It's a dark comedy. It's Danny DeVito, I think, and what the heck's his name? What's that guy's name?
Yep.
Hold on. Billy Crystal. Whew. That took too long. Anyway, Danny DeVito's mom's in it, and she's it's like Mama Fratelli or something from the Goonies.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And she's just awful. She's just like a horrible person. She's like horribly mean and terrible the whole time.
Oh yeah.
And then like they have the plot to like kill the mom. But like she's like horrible. She's just like a horrible person. So that's what he's saying. It was supposed to be like throw Mama from the train with the mom as this really nasty piece of work. Instead, you hire the nicest woman in Hollywood, Estelle Getty, who you wish was your mother. That's the end of that. And that kind of makes sense. Like, I feel like if she was just a horrible person, like, you'd kind of hate her the whole time and, like, you would kind of get... But, like, I feel like most of the plot doesn't really go with that. She's not supposed to be horrible. Like, she's supposed to be, like, kind of nice. I don't know. It just ended up being weird. Maybe they just had to change it because she couldn't play, like, horrible. She had to play nice overbearing instead of mean overbearing.
I get mad. I kept getting mad at Stallone's character because it's like, dude, this mom...
Yeah.
Lucky. You are lucky to have a mom like this, bro.
Yeah.
You know how many people would kill to have a mom this lovable?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think that's what he's saying is that like she's great. Like why would I hate her? But I feel like he's playing it as if she's terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, well, all you got to do is just change how you do the character. I don't know. Maybe it just didn't work because they had characters playing two different movies. I don't know.
Yeah, we kind of glossed over the fact. So before she witnesses the murder and everything, like when she first comes to town, they get a call about potential suicide, right?
It's probably the best scene from the movie.
I think it's the best scene. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The guy's threatening to jump off a building. Stallone goes up there, probably against all protocols, just goes out the same window or the other window next door.
Just definitely walks out to him.
No harnesses, no anything to protect him.
Doesn't announce his presence. He just appears on the window by this guy.
His mom takes the megaphone and is like, "That's my son up there," you know, and
because I guess the kid that's threatening to jump, he wants to talk to his mother because they've been having issues or something, and she's like, "Sure, I'll talk to him. I'm not your mother, but I'm a mother, so maybe he could talk to me. That's my son, and I'm going to embarrass him for the next 15 minutes." And that's basically what she does.
She brings up how his diaper rash and pulls out
a bunch of baby pictures.
Yeah, of him in his diapers and stuff.
Chicken pox and stuff.
And meanwhile, Stallone's just like yelling down, like, you know, you're embarrassing me up there and everything.
Get that megaphone away from her.
And essentially the guy that was gonna jump was like, yeah, okay, maybe
I don't have it so bad.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm just gonna go, and he leaves. My favorite part about that whole scene is he's walking down the stairs, and all these cops are just run by him. Like he's the guy that was gonna jump, and he's just like, yeah, that guy's issues.
Yeah,
they were all gonna go after another cop. It was like
yeah, they were very confused. Maybe they couldn't see very well. He was so high up, they just still see a guy up there. And they just run past. I don't know. It's weird. But that scene is actually like genuinely funny. You're not really laughing at the scene in that one so much. I noticed that. I noticed that the other day when I was watching. It's like there's actually some pretty funny lines in that. Yeah, that's probably the best scene from the movie, and that's probably why they used it in the trailer. You watched the trailer earlier, and it's basically that whole scene is the trailer, and then like zany music playing afterward, and couple of one-liners from Stallone. A lot of one-liners in this movie. Just a ton. The script is basically 70% one-liners.
I do have to say this. The amount of receding hair lines in this movie, it's like an 8-to-1 ratio of very strange half-bald men.
Yeah.
It's an alarming amount of bald men in this movie. Not full bald, it's like partially bald.
I feel like that was a big thing. Now I feel like we don't care as much, or people just like own it and they just shave the whole head. Back then we were still in the era of if you have any hair, that's better than no hair.
Right.
So I'm just going to take the half a head of hair I have and just grow it out, make it real bushy. So it looks like I have more.
Yeah. I mean, maybe take
like George Costanza style.
Maybe take like $1 million of the budget and like hire actors with hair. I don't know. At least more. Like it was just... Literally everybody, except for the main bad guy who had a good set of hair. Maybe they did that on purpose to make him stand out as the pure bad guy.
He's the rich guy. He's able to afford the hair plugs.
But even the other cop that Stallone is like rivals with, he kind of had a weird widow's peak or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Definitely didn't know how to work with the receding hairline back then. I feel like is the issue. Yeah.
Right.
So a couple more computer says fun facts here. This one I just noticed today while we were rewatching. There's a painting in Stallone's house, or Joe's house. Sorry, that's the character name. It's by Leroy Neiman, who painted the like Rocky and Apollo portrait from Rocky. Yeah, from Rocky 3. And there's just another one of those. And it looks similar, but it's like a baseball player instead of a boxer or something. But I just thought that was a cool little fun fact I saw. There's an SNL sketch from 1997 where Stallone was hosting. Norm Macdonald is in like a car wreck and he's like dying. He's like bleeding out or whatever. Stallone like stumbles by or like witnesses it or whatever and like runs up and tries to help him. He's like, don't worry, guy, the ambulance is coming, whatever. And just he's like trying to help him. And the whole time, Norm Macdonald is just like ribbing him for all his bad movies. He's like sitting there like bleeding out. He's just like making jokes about all the like. He's like, "Oh, did you guys see Tango and Cash? What a terrible one!" And then like the last thing he says, like as he's dying, he's like mumbles something, and like the EMTs are there, and there's other bystanders, and Stallone hears him, but he doesn't want to say what he said, and everybody's like, "Man, come on! What did he say? What was he trying to say?" And Stallone, fed up, eventually says, like, he said, "Stop or my mom will shoot." Sucked. Oh, man.
That's good.
Moving on. Next little segment here we got here. We're kind of going on the fly here, or changing these as we go. This is only our second movie episode. I call this category beefs.
Yeah.
It's like beefs with the filmmakers, essentially. Things they could have easily done better. Not so much like nitpicks, whatever that means. Nitpicks with like the plot or anything, because obviously they're going to be plot holes. It's a terrible movie. But like things that they could have just a slight tweak and it would have made things a ton better. So do you have any offhand? I got a couple.
I kind of feel like the overall pacing, obviously, like if they would have just, I don't know, it felt like it was missing something from the like her witnessing the murder to like them going on their little side quest.
Yeah, it's kind of clunky there in the middle.
If they would have like added some sort of scene in the precinct where, you know, you got the board, they're like debriefing everybody.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, explaining the crime that they're investigating.
Right, because the crime, you don't understand what the crime is until the very end.
Until they explain the whole thing to you.
Yeah, at the very end. And you're like, I don't know. It feels, obviously movies are shot out of order, but it feels like very cut and paste. They were just like, this scene will be fine here. Yeah, this scene will be fine here.
I imagine they probably just like wrote down a bunch of funny scenes and slapped them together. And then maybe there was even a scene like that and then they cut it because it wasn't funny. And they're like, oh, we got to keep it going. We got to get to the next joke.
It seemed like a lot of scenes were cut and that's what messed with the pacing.
Yeah, it's like a pretty decent comedy, but if it's a cop comedy, you gotta have the cop element in there, and I feel like that's got to be kind of the bones of it, and then you add comedy to it.
I guess another thing for me would be is like, bro, like appreciate your mom before she's gone.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the whole point, though.
Right,
that's kind of what he realizes at the end, and then she's still overbearing.
So my main point off of that though is like, I don't think they do a good job of the backstory as to why they kind of have a strained relationship. They mention it when her and Gwen are like kind of bonding about, you know, when his dad passed and he took care of everything.
And there's just like that really random heart or tearjerker scene in the middle of this comedy.
Yeah. A little bit of backstory as to why those two are kind of strained might have helped with the pacing too a little bit. But
yeah, I guess you're just kind of left to assume that she's always been this way, so he's just like, I'm just gonna move to LA so I can get as far away from her as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're left to kind of fill in the blanks there. There's not really an event that they tell us about. So my beefs, yours were like actual like critiques of the film. Mine, you really couldn't come up with a better opening line than, "Can you believe it? These goddamn bad guys are always late." Goddamn bad guys. That's what this detective on a sting is opening with. These goddamn bad guys are always late. That's how we're starting.
The dialogue is pretty rough in this movie.
I think it's the first night after Tootie gets there, Mama gets there. Sly. In all my notes to save time, I kept writing Sly, so I keep wanting to say Sly in here. Joe, is like laying in bed. She's cleaning in the middle of the night for some reason. He can't get to
3 in the morning.
Yeah, which is just strange. I don't know. That doesn't seem like normal behavior. It's not really relatable. I feel like I've never heard of an old lady cleaning at 3 a.m. just because. But we randomly get like a Fruit of the Loom ad.
Oh, yeah.
Stallone's
he does
just
this weird.
He's like face down, ass up in bed.
He's literally doing downward dog.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like rolling over, like tossing and turning, and then suddenly just sticks his ass in the air with his underwear
showing.
For
a solid 10 seconds.
And that's just all we see on screen. Is just Stallone's black undies right in the middle of the shot. Like, what is this? What are we doing? We needed that? Couldn't give him like some sweatpants or something to wear. I don't know. Why do we need Stallone in his undies? So there's this big thing. I started to notice when we first watched it, like toward the end, you start to pick up on it. There's this whole like Oedipal complex storyline throughout the whole movie where it's basically a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
But between Stallone and his mom.
Yeah.
Which is just weird.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if they were trying for that. It doesn't seem overt. It seems like maybe some of it was, but there's a lot there. Just seems like a weird choice. Like, for the first thing, he's like on the phone with her. His girlfriend thinks he's on the phone with some other girl, I think.
And he's not even on the phone with her. He's just
he's calling her, trying to get her voicemail, or just the phone's just ringing. And when he goes to pick her up from the airport, he's like using breath spray and like fixing himself up outside like he's meeting somebody on a first date.
Well, I mean, that kind of makes sense, though, because the first thing she does is like comments on his house and how dirty it is, because you know she would be like, oh, your breath stinks. How are you going to get a girl with stinky breath?
Yeah,
you know?
So it tracks, but as part of the larger picture,
overall,
there's constant like ups and downs in the relationship, just like a romantic comedy. Like when you meet somebody for the first time, like the first half of a romantic comedy is always like, we hate each other, now we love each other. They argue, then they make up. He's starting to like learn to appreciate his mom while they're sitting in that park and they're kind of working on the investigation that he's not even supposed to be investigating. They're working on that together, and he's like slowly starting to appreciate her. He's like laughing at her jokes and stuff. And then like the music starts swelling in the background. I'm like, is he falling in love with her?
Right.
That's what they're playing at right now. Like they're in a park. Like this is when Harry met Sally. They're like in a park falling in love. It's weird. And then there's like a bunch of rough patches, like we mentioned, a lot of just like jokes slapped together in a row. And then they like finally start working well together right before this final big fight, which is classic romantic comedy. Yeah. Everything's going great, and then like one big thing happens and it shuts it all down. And that's the flower scene that we mentioned is what shuts it down. They have this argument on his doorstep at nighttime. She's like backlit by the lights on this porch. He's like down on the street yelling at her. Like this is classic breakup in a romantic comedy, right? Like that's straight out of any kind of romantic movie.
Meanwhile,
when they break up.
All the neighbors are out.
Like, they're like peering in,
talking, and I like half expected him to come back with the boombox on his shoulder.
Yeah, that's what they're playing toward. Yeah, that's what's
so
coming.
she would come out and he could apologize to her instead of just like being like a normal person.
Yeah, but instead of that cliche, he does the other cliche in a romantic comedy where he chases her down at the airport. He realizes his mistake and he goes and runs her down at the airport and convinces her to stay. Okay, come on. You're like really hitting it on the head here. Oh, and they're arguing about like commitment and stuff. Like you can't be more cliche than that. He starts like drinking alone at the office after this breakup thing. And then he uses his mom's line to him to his girlfriend. And then they make up using his mom's line. And then right after that is his realization that he needs to run after his mom and run down. It's like, is he thinking about her while they're, getting busy at the precinct? I don't know. These are the thoughts that are put into your head by this movie.
I just thought of one. And it's at literally the very end of the movie. Everybody's made up. They're engaged, whatever, right? They're dropping her off at the airport. His mom notices this like really nervous guy, and she's like, that guy's a criminal. That guy's a criminal. I saw him from America's Most Wanted, and don't take him seriously until like she says something, then he pulls out the gun.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my beef. If you're notorious enough to be on America's Most Wanted,
yeah,
why is your weird, kind of bald, sweaty ass in the airport nervously walking around in circles?
Yeah. Like you need to think you can dye your hair or grow a mustache or something.
If you don't think you can get past the metal detectors, why are you in the airport? Why are you flying anywhere? Why are you not just driving where you need to go?
Yeah, just drive somewhere. And she's going, I mean, well, I guess they're not really at her gate yet, I guess. They're going through the metal detector. I was going to say she's going to Newark. Like, why are you going to Newark? You got to flee the country or something. That's a long flight, too.
And then, like, she's like, oh, I remember what he did now. He shot his mother. Okay.
Okay.
I know this movie's pretty on the nose, but, like,
that's a
for
little
real.
much. That was definitely an eye roll line.
Let's be for real for, like, 1 second here.
Just a terrible way to end the movie. It's like, this movie kind of sucked, but, like, maybe they'll end with a flourish. No, it's just, like, the worst line ever written. And then just a freeze frame on Stallone's stupid smile. Oh, man. So, little one that I thought was just funny. I just noticed it the other day when I watched it. When Stallone locks her in his car, he's going to investigate like a dangerous warehouse. He locks her in. Then as he's walking around the warehouse, we show her in the car and she's got like a nightstick and she's trying to bang it, or like a flashlight or something.
The windshield cracks.
Yeah. She's banging on the windshield trying to get out. And the last hit, the windshield cracks, this big crack, and then she says, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah. Clearly cracks.
Why didn't you just like cut the scene half a second earlier to where we don't see the crack and then cut to her saying, that's not going to work? That's an easy fix, right?
It's literally the first hit, first swing, it cracks the windshield.
Yeah, it's like, oh, a couple more of those, and you'd be fine.
It reminded me of the window scene from the original Halloween, where you see the wrench in the guy's hand.
Oh, yeah.
Or not the opening. Oh, yeah, it was the
opening scene. Yeah.
You see the wrench in his hand to crack the windshield.
Yeah, I guess second opening scene, I guess. The first modern day scene, because it's when Michael escapes, right? The opening scene is him as a kid. Yeah, it's the first present day scene.
The Loomis scene, yeah. That's the first thing I thought of was Halloween. When I was like, we're just not supposed to see that or what?
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, and that, again, easy fix. All you do is just cut that clip half a second earlier, and then we don't see the crack. And then cut to her saying, that's not going to work. Perfectly fine. Oh, man. They probably didn't think we were ever going to watch these movies on like a high-def TV.
Probably not.
Although it was probably easier to see on like a giant screen in a movie theater, because that screen would have been, or that crack would have been 8 feet long.
To be fair, I only just noticed it this second rewatch.
Yeah,
I didn't notice
that's
it
true. I noticed it a couple days ago. I didn't watch or notice it the first time, so maybe.
They also didn't do a very good job of hiding the stunt driver for Estelle.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely just like a completely different person. The wig doesn't really match either. It's like a brown wig. She's got red hair, and the stunt driver has like a brown wig. It's weird. It's just bouncing all over the place, too.
They just put a brown wig and shades on her, or the big, thick bottle glasses or whatever.
Yeah.
And, so bad.
Okay, moving on. Any head scratchers? This is kind of like our nitpick area, big picture kind of stuff. Not so much just like plot issues, because there's so many plot issues.
The Pepto scene is like very confusing to me, because why are you drinking why are you chugging a bottle of Pepto for heartburn?
Well, it's for heartburn.
Well, I know that, but why are you chugging the whole bottle? That's like not good. That's just, I don't know. It was weird to me. It was weird.
I guess if you got really bad heartburn, you just drink the whole thing. I think maybe that's the joke. I guess it is weird. Were there other titles shopped around for this movie, or do you think as soon as they came up with that line, they're like, "Yep, put it on the top of the page"? Because we haven't mentioned that part yet. That you have a title called "Stop" or "My Mom Will Shoot." Obviously, that line is in the movie, and it's golden. It's great. It's one of the best parts, because you just celebrate. You cheer when you hear that. She's standing next to him. Criminal's getting away. He's got a gun, and he's like, "Stop!" And you're like, it's coming. Here it is. "Stop, or my mom will shoot."
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's great. It's also kind of a weird title. Not a lot of titles with punctuation at all. let alone like in the middle of the line. Like there's airplane with the exclamation point at the end, but like in the middle of the line or in the middle of the title, kind of weird. Anyway, there's like a weird like little cartoon at the beginning.
Oh yeah,
like the title card is weird.
It was like a little Mr. Magoo thing. Like
yeah, it's just really strange. I feel like that was a more common thing around that time. There's an animation like that at the beginning of City Slickers. I think there's like a little animation cartoon at the beginning. It's also really weird. Doesn't fit with the rest of the movie at all.
Yeah.
So what do you think is worse? A worse way to die? Getting tricked and thrown out of a window by your criminal cohort, or being eaten by a T-Rex while sitting on a toilet? Because this guy had to do both of those things.
Being thrown out of the building. Because the T-Rex...
It's kind of an insult to injury kind of situation.
The T-Rex is like... Yeah, it's the anticipation, but it's going to happen quick.
Yeah.
Falling from a building, I mean, you got to sit there and just let it happen.
Yeah, you got to watch. He's definitely screaming the whole time.
Yeah.
They show how high that building is, but it's not like incredibly high. I don't know. He might not have died right away.
He died right away.
I don't know. I guess it depends where he landed. If you like land on a car, it might kind of cushion you a little bit. Might have. I'm not saying like he was like taken to the hospital or anything.
I mean,
but he might have like.
Unless he landed on like a trampoline or a pool, he dead.
I mean, it might not have been instant impact. I don't remember how tall the building was.
They show the establishing shot, and it's like the second level from the top, and it's pretty tall.
That's what I was saying. I couldn't remember how tall the building was.
It was pretty tall. Yeah. Tall enough to kill you on impact, that's for sure.
Okay. So, notably, we kind of mentioned it earlier, Stallone and Arnold had kind of a rivalry going, pretty strong rivalry. Arnold did move to comedy with Kindergarten Cop, and then Stallone started doing some comedies. Neither one really could do it very well. Arnold was definitely better, but pretty big rivalry. Do you know, or do you think at the end he's driving that semi and he takes down that plane, and he looks pretty badass driving that truck.
He really does.
Do you think that was like I guess I'd have to see when Terminator 2 came out. I think that was 91, which would have been the year before this. And there's like a pretty badass semi scene with the bad guy driving the T-1000. Do you think that was like I'll show Stallone, I'm going to drive the truck. He couldn't, or not, I'm going to show Schwarzenegger. He didn't drive the truck. His unknown co-star drove the truck in that one and looked badass. I'm going to look badass in my movie, even though the movie sucks.
I would say yes, and my reason for that is because of Rambo Last Blood.
Yeah.
Because he was clearly mad that he didn't think of Taken. So he had to make his own Rambified version of it.
Yeah. Which is a terrible movie, by the way.
It's terrible.
It's bad. I don't like it. It annoys me. I completely disowned it. I like all the Rambo movies. That one sucks. It makes me really mad. Don't get me started.
I do not associate it with the Rambo franchise.
No. They should have just call him like Jack Rambo or something, and I'd be completely fine. Don't make it a Rambo movie. It's not. The Rambo story ended when he went back home in 4.
Yep.
Can we just chill? Why does the bad guy hate them so much in this movie? He has like a vendetta against these guys. He's met them one time. Just because they're a thorn in his side, but
probably.
Like he's like evil about it. He was like, he wanted to throw her over, like off the plane in the middle of the ocean. He's like, fuck this old lady, just drown her. That's fine. Like, and he's like, after their first meeting, she says, I ought to spank you, because that's what we say in this movie. And then he's just like, kill them. Like, I want them dead. I want this random old lady who literally could do nothing to hurt me because she's an old lady. I want them dead so I can escape in 24 hours and make it look like an accident. Like, that's like just like over the top evil almost.
Yeah.
And they already like almost have nothing on this guy, and he's leaving tomorrow. I don't know. It's weird. It's a stretch. Do you have any pause-worthy moments? This is a new one, a new little segment here, just to explain to the audience. I kind of had a couple ideas, like if you see like a random actor, it's like, hey, there's that guy, or who's that guy? That kind of looks familiar. Or This line was too ridiculous that I had to pause it so I could laugh and then play the movie again so I didn't miss anything.
I mean, the first one that comes to mind is at the airport scene at the very end where the guy on like the golf court is like escorting his mom
he's
to
driving
the gate.
her to the gate, yeah.
And Rocky Joe catches up to him to like get her to stay or whatever, and they have this back and forth, and like the reactions that this driver is having to this conversation, like he is totally butting into this conversation.
He's completely involved.
He does not care about eavesdropping. He is just in it.
He's fully invested, yeah.
And the facial expressions he's making, like he goes from well, you should listen to your mom, or I can't believe she said that.
That's a good point. This guy, I don't know, maybe I should turn around. Maybe I should butt out. It's getting a little frosty.
That guy made the most out of the 30 seconds he was in that movie. Like,
does he have any lines?
No.
He just has. He was making every second count
because he was gonna send. He was like, it's gate 15 or whatever. Make sure she gets there. He just nods his head.
Yeah.
And then she gets up from the golf cart because she doesn't want to leave, and he's just like shrugs his shoulders.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good pause-worthy moment because you don't notice it right away, and then after you notice, it's like, man, has he been doing that the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh man, look at that guy. So the only one I had. Young Ving Rhames, randomly in the opening scene of this movie, and then he's never seen again. He's one of the bad guys. He's one of the criminals selling the Panasonic VCRs or whatever.
What a random crime, too, at the beginning. Like, we're just selling...
Are they VCRs or TVs or something? It's Panasonic. That's all you see.
They were bigger boxes, so I would assume TVs. But, like...
It's really weird. I thought it was going to be drugs or guns or something.
Did drugs not exist in 1992? We have to... What?
Yeah.
This is big, shady bust over, stolen...
And a truck full of TVs.
And they're not even, stolen from people's houses. They're in the packages. They're just, stolen from a warehouse or something.
Yeah, they robbed a truck that was on its way to Walmart.
Oh, God.
But yeah, random Ving Rhames just in the background before he was anything. He has the one line, I think. He's the one that slams the briefcase down on Stallone. He's reaching for the gun. He's like, "Get your hand out of there." Like, that's his only line. Anyway, I thought that was cool.
Did you notice the driver when he got out and like Joe...
Off-brand Martin Sheen.
Yeah. He gets out to like fight Joe. Joe slams the car door on his arm. But did you notice the car door actually like latched shut?
Yeah, it was like on his hand. Somehow his whole hand gets pinched. It's like a cartoon.
Yeah, it gets the door latches shut and his hand's still in the door. I'm like, okay, unless you have literally paper thin wrists, that ain't happening. Bro.
Yeah, he's got like a rubber. He's gonna pull it out and it's gonna be flattened.
Yeah.
Maybe he was the T-1000. He's just liquid metal. It just squished in there.
Could be.
Maybe.
Could be.
Yeah. So he's still around. He's out there. He just pulled his hand right out.
You never know.
So the Stephen Kwan Out of Left Field Award for the most unexpected moment or line of dialogue. You got anything? Real quick, I gotta get. I've been dying to say this line. You looked real sexy in those diapers. That's a line in this movie. Followed up shortly thereafter by I've always been a sucker for a guy in Pampers. Said by the same stewardess. So, Tootie's coming off the airplane at the beginning of the movie. Joe's picking her up. Turns out she's been talking to literally everybody on the plane, apparently. They all know who Joe is already. She's been showing the baby pictures. So, he's got a bunch of embarrassing pictures of him in diapers and stuff like that. And then one of the flight attendants comes out and whispers to him kind of sexually, which is the extra weird part, you looked real sexy in those diapers. That was a line that made it through the cutting room.
I think the one that I noticed that I was like, I kind of did like a weird face, like, what? That was so random.
Yeah.
I don't know, one of the chase scenes they were back at the precinct, and she was like, his ass was grass and I was the lawnmower. Like, I'm just like, imagine the Golden Girls saying, like the mother of the Golden Girls saying this, and it's so random. Like,
yeah. What's funny is like, I honestly actually could see. Oh, what's her character name from the Golden Girls?
Oh, I could see her.
I feel like I could actually see her.
I could see
saying
her.
That.
Yeah, not in this movie though. This movie was
it's really weird. Yeah, she's like really buttoned up. She really starts letting it loose though. The second half of the movie.
Yeah.
She starts. What does she say to the? She's like threatening the main bad guy, the head honcho bad guy. She says, "I'll be back," which again, definitely just a dig at Schwarzenegger. She says, "I'll be back," and then Stallone's pulling her away because he's embarrassed again. And she's like, "I heard a cop say that." And he's like, "Cops don't say that. Terminators say that."
We got to back up just a little bit to a pause-worthy moment, like where you got this. This is a pause-worthy moment where I should have paused it because I was laughing so hard. Because they do a clear dig at the Clint Eastwood movie, where they're like, she's like, "Go ahead, make your bed." Come on.
Yeah, that was just an all-time bad line. Just terrible.
Oh, man.
Just a total, like, oh, my God, I can't believe they approved that line, and somebody thought that was good enough to keep in the movie.
And it was very clearly meant to be a serious line, too. Like, come on. Be better.
Yeah, she, like, laughs after it, like, haha, isn't that funny? But, like, it wasn't that funny. We're laughing at it because somebody wrote that down and thought it was a good line. Man. I mean, honestly, it does kind of seem like a bad joke your mom would say, but hi, Mom, love you. Next chunk here, we got best one-liner. Obviously, number one, stop, or my mom will shoot.
Of course.
Obviously, it has to be anytime somebody mentions the title in a movie, it's going to be great. Any other ones off the top of your head?
So when he takes his mom to the precinct and it goes to the rival detective and he's like, "She was withholding evidence. Mm-hmm. Here's what we got. I traced it, blah, blah, blah." And he just gets unreasonably mad instead of
crazily off the
and
handle.
Just starts insulting both of them and just basically call him stupid, basically all that. And
you're the worst cop on the force.
And she's just like, "Is there anything else you'd like to tell me?" And her character's like, "Yes, detective. Both my son and I think you're an asshole."
Yeah, she's really letting it loose.
Preceded by him going to the bathroom and Stallone going to the bathroom. That cop follows him in there and they like get in a fight and he gives him a fucking swirly like we're in high school.
In the toilet. Like he's just reverting fully to childhood.
And then he leaves the bathroom, meets up with Gwen, again his on again off again girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And he comes out. I would like to form a formal complaint. Clearly dripping in toilet water. Clearly something happened. He's very within his rights to file a complaint, right?
Yeah.
And she just dismisses it. Totally dismisses it because she had to give him back his toothbrush.
Yeah. Again, obviously not a conflict of interest to be dating one of your subordinates.
Totally not showing favoritism here at all.
Absolutely not. I almost mentioned this for the beefs because this is just like a really weird line, and another one that's like, why don't we just do another take and it would be fine? That scene you're talking about, he gives him a swirly, walks out, his hands are wet still. She's like, you didn't dry your hands. And he's let's see, I gotta do it right because I think he messes up the line and they kept it for some reason. So she says, you didn't dry your hands. And he says, Ross needed them more than I did. He fucks up the line.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't make any sense based on what she said. And then he says, Ross needed them more than I did. The towels. He needs towels. And he like kind of laughs. Like he's like, I definitely fucked up that line. Yeah. And that's just the line they went with.
Meanwhile,
you didn't want to do like a third take of that one, Sly?
Meanwhile, he's got his sleeves rolled up and he's just wiping water all over his arms. His arms are just like soaked in water, and I'm like, you're not drying yourself off. You're just making yourself more wet.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
It's a weird moment, and then she just hands him his toothbrush. And he's like, hey, thanks for the brush. And she just like smiles at him like that was like, oh, he's winning me back as I'm handing back his belongings from my house. Man. So some more one-liners. When she finally gives him the gun that she bought on the street after, like right before the guys were killed. didn't tarnish the quality of the gift in her eyes. She gives him the gift of this fully automatic illegal weapon. But before he opens it, she hands it to him, and he just goes, "I love presents."
Well, before that,
what are you, 8?
Before
that,
before that, he's like giving her the 10th degree about something, and she's like, "Well, I guess I won't give you your present." And he's just like, "Present?
Present? Did you say present?
Well,
I like presents.
I like presents.
I want a present.
It's heavy.
Give me, yeah, it's heavy." Oh, what is happening?
He really was 8 years old in that scene. Like
just put a freaking birthday hat on and blow out some candles. Right. Oh, I want ice cream. I'll have some cake, but I'm just going to eat the frosting. Then another one, Estelle Getty, of course, says...
You forgot the part. She was like, "I wanted it to be a surprise." And he was like, It is.
He like screams it at her, too. There are a couple lines where his line delivery is just really weird. He just like screams a couple of things. I don't know. She says, "Oh, this is the chase sequence where she's driving. Right before that, right as they're about to peel out, and she says, 'We're gonna nail those turkeys.'" Followed shortly thereafter by the game show music that we mentioned. It's like, why are we suddenly doing this? What happened? And this was right after that like action sequence. Yeah. I don't know. It's just really strange. And then they end up crashing into like a dumpster with a bunch of garbage in it. And actually kind of a funny line. There's like a guy walking by.
Yeah. Just a funny little throwaway line.
One of those like lines from a distance because you see it from far away. He's like, "There's nothing in there. I already checked." Okay, cool.
End scene.
Yeah, that's the end of it. We needed that one. In the bathroom scene that we were just talking about, when the asshole detective is talking or is complaining about both of them, he's like, "I'll tell you something else," acting like a full tough guy, chest puffed out. "I'll tell you something else. Her cookies sucked." Oh man, you already mentioned his ass was grass, and that was the lawnmower. Second time she mentioned a lawnmower, she asked if he used a lawnmower on his face because she's complaining about how bad his shave was.
Kind of forgot too, back to the whole weird kind of like romantic comedy aspect of the mom and son. She walks in on him taking a shower.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that whole thing.
And she won't leave, and he's butt ass naked.
Yeah. Oh, she says, "There's nothing I haven't seen before," which like, okay, cool, that's like a thing mothers say sometimes, but like, she's like insistent about standing there watching him shower. It's weird. The scene goes on a little too long,
and he's like 40.
Also, another one I forgot about. There's another scene where she's talking privately in her office with the lieutenant, Gwen, the girlfriend. And she's showing the baby pictures again that she's pulled out like every 5 minutes in this movie. And the mom makes a comment about, "Oh, you can already tell he's gonna be like well built or whatever, have like good muscle, good equipment or something like she made." And then Gwen's like embarrassed by that line, and she's like, "Oh, don't be embarrassed. I may be an old lady, but I'm still a woman." Talking about your son's package? That's not a thing. What is happening? It's weird. There's a lot of weird moments.
A lot of weird, yeah. It's weird. It's
another really weird line delivery from Stallone. At the end, we mentioned that Tootie shoots the bad guy. She pulls out this hand cannon that's like bigger than her head. Like longer than her arm, and shoots the bad guy at the end. And Stallone, in shock, looks and has the longest pause in the world and says, "Gee whiz, you shot him." Gee whiz? Is this like a preschool comedy? Like, is this Pee Wee Herman? What? Gee whiz is the line you're going with, Stallone? Come on. Oh, my God. And then, you mentioned at the end, the final line of the scene. Now I remember what he did. He shot his mother. And then freeze frame on Salai's stupid smirk. And that's just the end of the movie and the end of cinema as we know it.
Yeah.
because it's a freeze frame and then the music starts. It really does end like a sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like the end of a Golden Girls. They should have just played the Golden Girls theme song at the end of the movie and just played it off as like a like a TV movie.
Yeah,
as like a special, a feature length Golden Girls special. But yeah, that's basically it. You got anything else? You want to throw in there that we didn't cover before we go?
No, man. Like, again, it's not a great movie. I wouldn't probably recommend it unless you want to watch something ironically. Yeah. But like, again, if you go in with zero expectations, it's a fun little movie.
That's the thing. If you know it's going to be bad, it's fun.
Like, if you go in with zero expectations, it had no business being as good as it was.
Yeah.
When I have conversations with people about shitty movies, this is always like one of the first ones I bring up. Because if we want to ironically watch a bad movie together, this is what I want to watch. Classic. This is what I want to show people.
Yep. Yeah. It's a perfect for that exact scenario.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, that's about it. I think we covered it all.
I would recommend it.
Stomp or My Mom Will Shoot. Laugh at it, not with it. And that's the show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as Sly Stallone loves presents. And you can pay that love forward by sharing this podcast with friends, family, guys who have love-hate relationships with their mothers. It's perfect for them. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts, so don't forget to subscribe on your platform of choice so you never miss a new episode. You can give us a rating and leave us a review. That really helps us get seen out there on all those platforms. Best way to spread the word, though, is just telling people you know. You can like us on Facebook and follow us at CCWisePod on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Twitter. You can follow me on just about everything at Tyler_W. Where can everybody find you out there?
I'm on Twitter at BWise23. You can find me on Instagram at NotTheFakeBW. And I'm also on TikTok at NotTheFakeBrainOfWise. So go ahead and join us in a couple weeks and we'll have another episode of Counterclockwise for you.
Hey, stay broaden.
Yeah, Mom. What are you doing, Mom?
Will you stop trying to change me? I love presents. Oh, so bad.